Dear listener, close your eyes and let the hustle of today fade into the gentle rustle of leaves on a quiet Richmond street in 1865. Welcome to a tale woven from the threads of a world healing from war, a keel where empty cobblestones whisper stories of resilience and hope. Sink into your pillows, wrap yourself in the warmth of this bygone era, and let this bedtime story carry you to a place of peace. If this journey soothes your soul, please subscribe to our channel so you never miss another tale to lull you into sweet dreams. You stand at the edge of a cobblestone street in Richmond, Virginia, the air heavy with the scent of charred wood and blooming magnolias. It's April 1865, and the Civil War has ended, leaving the city a ghost of its former self. The streets, once alive with the clatter of hooves and the shouts of merchants, are now quiet, their emptiness a canvas for the stories of those who remain. Your boots, worn from years of walking these paths, press softly against the uneven stones, each step a reminder of the life you've lived here. A life shaped by war, and now reshaped by peace. You pull your shawl tighter around your shoulders, its wool soft but frayed, its faded green catching the faint light of a lantern swinging from a nearby post. The night is cool, the stars above brighten the sky no longer clouded by cannon smoke, and you feel the weight of silence settling over the city like a quilt. Richmond, the fallen capital of the Confederacy, is a city in mourning, its buildings scarred by fire and its people weary from years of strife. You are no soldier, no politician, no figure of history's pages, but a seamstress who has called this city home since you were a girl. Your hands, skilled at mending torn cloth, have spent the war years stitching uniforms, bandaging wounds, offering quiet comfort to those who passed through your small shop on Main Street. They called you Miss Eliza, a name that stuck after you helped a wounded soldier write a letter to his mother in Ontario, your steady hand guiding his trembling one. Now, with the war over, you walk these empty streets, searching for the rhythm of a city, learning to breathe again. The street before you stretches toward the James River, its waters glinting under the moonlight, a silver ribbon winding through the heart of Richmond. You pause by a lamppost, its iron cool under your fingers, and listen to the night. The silence is not empty. It hums with the echoes of what was carriages rattling over these same cobblestones. Children laughing in the market square, women whispering prayers in the churches that still stand, their steeples blackened but unbowed. You think of the letters you've received from your cousin in London, her words filled with tales of gaslit streets and bustling markets, and of your sister in Montreal, who writes of snowy winters and the warmth of community. Their worlds feel far away, yet connected to this moment, this city, where the past lingers like a guest who hasn't yet left. You walk slowly, your steps deliberate, as if to honor the ground beneath you. The buildings along Main Street are a mix of ruin and resilience, some gutted by the fires that swept through when the Confederacy abandoned the city, others standing proud, their windows glowing with the soft light of candles. You pass the shop of Mr. Thompson, the baker, whose ovens once filled the air with the scent of fresh bread. His windows are boarded now, but you remember the mornings when he'd slip you a warm roll, his smile as bright as the flour dusting his apron. "For Miss Eliza," he'd say, "who keeps us all stitched together." You wonder where he is now, whether he's rebuilding in Richmond or seeking a new start in a city like Philadelphia or Toronto. Further down the street, you pass the church where you've spent countless Sundays, its doors open even now, offering sanctuary to those who seek it. Step inside, the air cool and heavy with the scent of old wood and wax. The pews are empty, but you imagine them filled with the faces you've known, soldiers who prayed before marching to battle, mothers who wept for sons lost, children who clung to hope like a lifeline. You light a candle at the altar, its flame, small but steady, and whisper a prayer for the city, for its people, for the future you're all stepping into. The silence here is different, softer, as if the walls themselves are holding their breath, waiting for what comes next. Outside, you continue your walk, the cobblestones leading you toward the river. You pass the ruins of the Tredegar Ironworks, once the heart of the Confederacy's war machine, now a skeleton of brick and iron. You remember the men who worked there, their faces smudged with soot, their laughter echoing in the brief moments of rest. Some were from England, drawn to Richmond by the promise of work. Others were from Canada, their accents crisp as they spoke of home. You think of them now, scattered like seeds, perhaps rebuilding their lives in cities far from here. The river glints ahead, its surface calm, but carrying the weight of all it has seen. You sit on a bench by the water, the wood worn smooth by years of use, and let the sound of the current wash over you. A gentle lullaby for a city in recovery. You think of the stories you've heard, the ones that filled the silence of these streets. There was Sarah, a freed woman who worked alongside you, her hands quick with the needle, her laughter a balm for weary souls. She spoke of her dreams of opening a school, of teaching children to read and write, of building a future where freedom was more than a word. There was Michael, a young man from Nova Scotia who fought for the Union and came to your shop to have his coat mended, his stories of the sea making you laugh until your sides ached. And there was Emily, a nurse from Yorkshire who stayed in Richmond after the war, her gentle hands and sharp wit a reminder of the strength found in kindness. Their voices linger in your mind, a chorus of resilience that carries you through the quiet. You rise from the bench, your shawl slipping slightly as you adjust it. The night is growing cooler, the stars brighter, and you feel a pull to return home, to the small room above your shop where a single candle waits to light your way. You walk back through the streets, passing the market square where vendors will soon return, their stalls filled with apples, bread, and hope. You pass the homes of neighbors, their windows dark but promising light in the days to come. You think of the letters you'll write tonight to your cousin in London, to your sister in Montreal, telling them of this city, of its scars and its strength, cause of the silence that holds both loss and possibility. As you reach your shop, you pause at the door, your hand on the worn brass knob. The sign above reads Eliza's Stitches. It's paint-chipped, but proud. Teenside, your sewing table waits, scattered with threads and patches, each one a story of mending. You light the candle, its flame casting a warm glow over the room, and sit at your table, your journal open before you. You write of the streets you've walked, of the silence that speaks, of the city that is finding its way back to life. You write of Sarah's dreams, of Michael's laughter, of Emily's kindness. You write of the river, the stars, the cobblestones that have borne witness to it all. The candle flickers, its light soft against the darkness, and you feel a peace settle over you, as gentle as the spring breeze that stirs the magnolias outside. You close your journal. The words, a record of a time when the world was broken and you walked its empty streets, searching for the threads that would stitch it back together. You blow out the candle, the smoke curling like a promise, and climb the narrow stairs to your bed, the city outside whispering of tomorrow. Thank you for joining me on this quiet walk through Richmond streets, dear listener. If this tale has wrapped you in the warmth of the past, please subscribe to our channel for more bedtime stories to carry you into dreams. Let me know if you'd like to continue this journey with the next chapter, when may your sleep be as peaceful as the city you've just wandered. Morning breaks over Richmond, the sunlight spilling across the cobblestones like warm honey, softening the scars of a city reborn. You rise early, as you always have, your body attuned to the rhythm of a seamstress's life-threading needles, mending cloth, weaving hope into the fabric of a community, stitching itself back together. It's April 1865, And the Civil War's end has left the streets of Richmond quieter, but not lifeless. You dress in your familiar gray gown, its hem frayed from years of work, and tie on a fresh apron. Its crisp folds, a small act of defiance against the chaos of the past. Your hair is pinned up with a simple bone comb, a gift from your mother back in your village in upstate New York. Its smooth edges, worn by time, but cherished for the memories it holds. You step out from your shop, Eliza Stitches, on Main Street, the sign above the door creaking softly in the morning breeze, and begin your walk through the city, your boots whispering against the cobblestones. The streets are still empty in the early hours, but they hum with a quiet promise of renewal. You pass the market square, where vendors are beginning to return, their carts laden with apples, potatoes, and the first greens of spring. The air carries the scent of fresh bread from a bakery that has reopened, its chimney puffing small clouds of smoke into the pale sky. You smile at the sight, remembering the days when the square was silent, its stalls shuttered, its cobblestones stained with the haste of retreat. Now there's life here, tentative but growing, like the wildflowers pushing through cracks in the stone. You pause by a stall where a woman named Hannah, her hands rough from years of farm work, offers you a small apple, its skin red and glossy. "For Miss Eliza," she says, her voice warm with the soft drawl of Virginia. "You've mended more than my old shawl this year." You thank her, tucking the apple into your apron pocket, its weight a small reminder of the kindness that binds this city together. You continue your walk, the streets leading you toward Capitol Square, where the Virginia State Capitol stands, its columns proud despite the scars of war. The building was the heart of the Confederacy, a place where decisions were made that shaped the lives of millions. Now, it's a symbol of something new, a city, a nation trying to find its way forward. You sit on a bench beneath an oak tree, its branches heavy with new leaves, and watch as a few men in worn coats sweep the steps of the Capitol, their movements slow but purposeful. One of them, a man named Jacob, notices you and waves, his smile bright against his weathered face. He's from Halifax, a Canadian who came south to help rebuild, his accent crisp as he calls out, "Morning, Miss Eliza. Fine day for a walk." You nod, your heart warmed by his cheer, and think of the others who have come to Richmond, men and women from England, Canada, and the northern states, drawn by the promise of work, of healing, of a chance to start anew. The square is quieter than it once was, but you can feel its pulse, steady and growing. You think of the stories you've heard from those who passed through, tales of families reunited, of businesses reopening, of schools where children are learning to read again. You think of Sarah, the freedwoman who worked with you during the war, her needle as swift as yours, her dreams as big as the sky. She's gone north now, to Philadelphia, where she's helping to start a school for children who were once denied the chance to learn. You think of Michael, the young man from Nova Scotia, whose stories of the sea brought laughter to your shop, his coat now mended and his heart set on returning home. And you think of Emily, the nurse from Yorkshire, who stayed in Richmond after the war, her hands still tending to those who need care. Her laughter a reminder that joy can bloom even in the shadow of loss. You rise from the bench, your shawl slipping slightly as you adjust it, and walk toward the James River, its waters gleaming under the morning sun. The river has always been Richmond's lifeblood, carrying goods and people, stories and dreams. You pass the remains of a warehouse, its walls blackened by the fires that swept through when the city fell. But you notice new timbers stacked nearby, signs of rebuilding. You think of the letters you've written to your cousin in London, describing the river's quiet beauty, its banks lined with willows that sway in the breeze. You've told her of the city's resilience, of the way its people are finding their way back to life, like threads woven into a new pattern. You've written to your sister in Montreal, too, sharing stories of the market square, of the apple in your pocket, for the hope that grows with each new day. As you walk along the riverbank, you pass a small group of children playing their laughter, a sound you've missed during the war years. Kay, boy with the mop of brown curls, runs up to you, holding out a pebble smoothed by the river's current. "For you, Miss Eliza," he says, his accent a blend of Virginia and something northern, perhaps, from a family that fled south during the war. You thank him, slipping the pebble into your pocket beside the apple, and watch as he runs back to his friends, their voices rising like birdsong. You think of the children you've known, the ones who clung to their mother's skirts in the church, who drew pictures in the dust outside your shop, who carried hope in their small hands. Kay, their laughter is a thread in the tapestry of this city, a reminder that life persists. Even after the darkest days, you turn back toward the heart of the city, your path taking you past the church where you've spent so many Sundays. Its doors are open, as they always are, offering a quiet refuge for those who seek it. You step inside, the air cool and heavy with the scent of old wood and wax. The pews are empty this morning, but you can almost see the faces of those who have filled them, soldiers praying for strength, mothers whispering thanks for sons returned, neighbors sharing stories of survival. You light a candle at the altar, its flame small but steady, and sit in a pew, your hands folded in your lap. You think of the prayers you've offered here, for the city, for its people, for yourself. You think of the hymns you've sung, their melodies, a comfort in the chaos of war. You think of the community that has gathered here, from Richmond's oldest families to newcomers from England and Canada, all bound by a shared hope for peace. Outside, you continue your walk, passing the shop of Mr. Thompson, the baker, whose ovens are firing again. You wave through the window, and he beckons you inside, offering you a warm roll, its crust golden and crisp. "For Miss Eliza," he says, his smile as bright as ever. You thank him, breaking off a piece of the roll, its warmth spreading through your fingers. You think of the meals you've shared in this city, the simple suppers of bread and cheese, the stories told over cups of tea. You think of the women who have worked beside you, their hands as skilled as yours, their hearts as open. There was Margaret, a weaver from Manchester, who taught you to mend canvas tents, her accent thick with the north of England. There was Anne, a teacher from Quebec, who brought books to the children in the square, her voice soft as she read tales of adventure. Their presence lingers in the city, even as they've moved on, their threads woven into Richmond's fabric. You walk on, the streets growing busier as the morning unfolds. You pass a blacksmith shop, its forge glowing with new life, and hear the rhythmic clang of hammer on iron, a sound that feels like a heartbeat. You pass the seamstress's shop, not unlike your own, where a young woman is hanging a new sign, its paint fresh and bold. You smile at her, recognizing the pride in her eyes, the same pride you feel when you look at your own shop. You think of the work you've done, the uniforms you've stitched, the bandages you've sewn, the lives you've touched with your needle and thread. You think of the future, of the garments you'll make for weddings and baptisms, 4 days of joy rather than days of war as noon approaches. You find yourself back at the market square, where more vendors have gathered, their voices a gentle hum of commerce and community. You buy a small bundle of herbs, rosemary, and thyme from a woman whose hands are stained with earth, her smile warm as she tells you of her garden. You tuck the herbs into your basket, their scent mingling with the apple and the pebble, a collection of small treasures from this walk. You think of the garden you've dreamed of planting behind your shop, a place where lavender might bloom, where you could sit in the evenings and watch the stars. You think of the stories you'll tell, of the city that survived, of the people who carried it forward. You return to your shop as the sun climbs higher, its light filtering through the windows, illuminating the threads and fabrics scattered across your sewing table. You sit, your hands resting on a piece of muslin, and think of the letters you'll write tonight to your cousin in London, to your sister in Montreal, to Sarah in Philadelphia. You'll tell them of the market square, of the children's laughter, of the river's quiet song. You'll tell them of the city's scars, but also of its strength, of the way it's weaving itself back together, one stitch at a time. You pick up your needle, threading it with care, and begin to sew. The rhythm of your stitches, a mirror of the city's pulse. You think of the people you've known, the stories you've shared, the hope that grows with each new day. The streets outside are no longer empty, but filled with the soft sounds of light footsteps, voices, the creak of a cart. Cool, feel a peace settle over you, as gentle as the sunlight that warms your hands, as steady as the needle in your fingers. You are part of this city, part of its healing, part of its tomorrow. Asterisk, asterisk, the sun hangs low over Richmond, casting a golden glow across the cobblestones, as if the city itself is exhaling a long-held breath. It's late April 1865, and the Civil War's end has left the streets quieter, but brimming with the promise of renewal. You stand outside your shop, Eliza's Stitches, on Main Street, your hands resting on the worn brass knob of the door, your shawl slipping slightly as a soft breeze carries the scent of magnolias and river water. Your gray gown, patched from years of wear, feels like an old friend, and your apron, freshly starched, is a canvas for the day's work mending, creating, weaving hope into the fabric of a city finding its way. You step onto the street, your boots whispering against the stones, and begin your final walk through Richmond's healing heart, knowing that this chapter of your life is drawing to a close. Just as the city prepares to open a new one, the streets are no longer empty, but they carry a gentle rhythm, a pulse of life returning like spring to a winter-worn land. You walk toward the James River, its waters glinting under the evening light, a silver thread weaving through the city's story. The air is warm, heavy with the scent of blooming jasmine and the faint smokiness of chimneys rekindled in homes that have stood through fire and loss. You pass the market square, now alive with vendors, their voices a soft hum of commerce and connection. There's Hannah, the farmer's wife, arranging her apples with care, her smile as warm as the bread she offers alongside her fruit. You wave, and she calls out, "Miss Eliza, come for tea tomorrow." You nod, your heart full, thinking of the community that has grown around you, a tapestry of faces and voices from Richmond, from Canada, from England, all bound by the shared work of rebuilding. You continue past the square, your path leading you toward Capitol Square, where the Virginia State Capitol stands, its columns scarred but proud, a symbol of endurance. You pause beneath the same oak tree where you sat before, its leaves fuller now, rustling in the breeze like whispers of hope. You think of the men who sweep its steps, men like Jacob from Halifax, whose cheerful wave greeted you on your last walk. He's here again, leaning on his broom, his eyes bright as he tells you of his plans to open a small carpentry shop. "Wood's honest work," he says, his Canadian accent crisp. "It builds homes, not wars." You smile, thinking of the homes that will rise from Richmond's ashes, of the families that will fill them, of the future that feels closer with each passing day. The square is busier now, with people moving to and from, merchants carrying goods, children chasing each other in the fading light, women sharing stories as they walk arm in arm. You see a familiar face similarly, the nurse from Yorkshire, her apron swapped for a simple dress, her hands no longer bandaging wounds, but holding a basket of herbs from the market. She spots you and hurries over, her laughter as bright as the sun. "Eliza, I've just found rosemary from my garden," she says, her accent warm with the north of England. "Come help me plant it tomorrow, will you?" You agree, thinking of the garden you've dreamed of behind your shop, a place where lavender and rosemary might bloom, where you could sit and watch the stars. You think of Margaret, the weaver from Manchester who taught you to mend canvas during the war, and of Anne, the teacher from Quebec who read stories to the children in the square. Their voices linger in your memory, a chorus of strength that carries you forward. You walk on, the cobblestones leading you toward the river, where the willows sway gently, their branches brushing the water's surface. Tia, you sit on a bench, the wood worn smooth by years of use, and let the river's soft murmur wash over you. The James has seen it also, just crossing its bridges, ships carrying supplies, families fleeing the fires that consumed the city. Now it flows calmly, hey, witness to peace, its waters reflecting the stars that are beginning to appear. You think of the letters you've received from your cousin in London, her words painting pictures of gaslit streets and bustling markets, a city untouched by the war you've known. You think of your sister in Montreal, her letters filled with tales of snowy winters and warm hearths, of a community that welcomes newcomers with open arms. Their worlds feel closer now, connected by the threads of hope that tie Richmond to places far beyond its borders. You think of Sarah, the freed woman who worked with you, her needle as swift as yours, her dreams of a school for children now taking shape in Philadelphia. You think of Michael, the sailor from Nova Scotia, whose laughter filled your shop as you mended his coat. His stories of the sea, a reminder of the world's vastness. You think of the children who have given you gifts, a pebble, a daisy, a smile, each one a stitch in the fabric of this city. You think of the church, its pews filled with prayers and hymns, its doors open to all who seek solace. You think of the market, the bakery, the blacksmith's forge, each a sign that Richmond is coming back to life. One small act at a time. As the sky deepens to twilight, you rise from the bench and walk back toward the heart of the city. You pass the ruins of the Tredegar Ironworks, its bricks blackened but surrounded by new timbers, signs of rebuilding. You think of the men who worked there, their hands calloused from forging iron, their stories of home in England or Canada, a reminder of the ties that bind across oceans. You pass the church again, its steeple silhouetted against the sky, and pause to light another candle, its flame a small beacon in the gathering dark. You sit in the pew, your hands folded, and let the silence wrap around you, a silence that is not empty, but full of possibility. You think of the prayers you've offered here for the city, for its people, for yourself. You think of the hymns you've sung, their melodies a thread of comfort through the years of war. You leave the church and walk toward the market square, where a few vendors linger, their lanterns casting pools of light on the cobblestones. See Hannah again, packing up her stall, and she presses another apple into your hand, its skin cool and smooth. You'll walk home, she says, and you thank her, adding it to the treasures in your pocket, the pebble, the herbs, the memory of her smile. You think of the community that has grown around you, the farmers and bakers, the nurses and teachers, the children and neighbors who have made Richmond more than a city, it's a home, a place where hope is stitched into every interaction. You walk past the blacksmith shop, the forge still glowing, its warmth reaching out to you as you pass. You hear the steady clang of hammer on iron, a sound that feels like the city's heartbeat, strong and steady. You pass another seamstress's shop, its sign new and bright, and wave to the young woman inside, her needle flashing in the lamplight. You think of your own shop, of the fabrics waiting on your table, of the garments you'll make 4 days of joy wedding dresses, christening gowns, coats for winters yet to come. You think of the bandages you sewed during the war, each one a lifeline, and of the uniforms you mended, each stitch a prayer for the wearer's safety. As you near your shop, you pause at the edge of the square, looking out over the city. The streets are quieter now, the vendors gone, the lanterns dimming, but the air is alive with the promise of tomorrow. You think of the future, of the choices that lie before you. You've heard of a school in Boston where women are learning to teach, a place where your skills with a needle might be paired with a new purpose, teaching others to mend, to create, to heal. You've received a letter from your cousin in London inviting you to visit, to see the city where gaslights glow and history lives in every stone. You imagine walking the halls of a hospital there, learning from nurses trained by Florence Nightingale, whose name is a beacon for women like you. And you think of Canada, of the growing towns your sister describes in Montreal, where seamstresses' hands could find work in a community building itself anew. You reach your shop, a sign above the door, Eliza's Stitches, catching the last of the twilight. You step inside, the familiar scent of thread and fabric welcoming you home. You light a candle, its flame casting a warm glow over your sewing table. Where a half-finished quilt lies, its patches a mosaic of memories. You sit, your hands resting on the fabric, and think of the life you've lived here, the war you've had, survived, the city you've helped mend. You think of the people who have filled your days, Hannah with their apples, Jacob with his broom, Emily with her herbs, Sarah with her dreams, Michael with his laughter. Stories are woven into yours, a tapestry of resilience that will endure long after you've left these streets. You pick up your journal, its pages worn from years of writing, and begin to record this day. You write of the river, its waters carrying the city's past and its future. You write of the market, its stalls a sign of life returning. You write of the church, its candles a light in the darkness. You write of the people, their faces and voices a thread in the fabric of Richmond. You write of the silence, once heavy with loss, now soft with hope. You write of the stars, the same ones that shine over London, Montreal, and the villages of Virginia. A reminder that the world is vast, but bound by shared dreams. As you write, you think of the choices ahead. You imagine yourself in Boston, teaching young women too, so to create, to find strength in their hands. You picture yourself in London, walking the Thames, learning from nurses who have seen their own wars. You envision a small shop in Montreal, its windows open to the breeze, its shelves filled with fabrics that tell stories of home. Each path feels possible, each one a stitch in the tapestry of your life, waiting to be woven. You close your journal, the candle burning low, its light soft against the darkness. You blow it out, the smoke curling like a promise, and climb the narrow stairs to your bed. The city outside is quiet, its streets no longer empty, but filled with the gentle sounds of live footsteps, its voices, the creak of a cart. You settle into your blankets, the weight of the day settling over you like a quilt, warm and comforting. The war is over, the streets are healing, and you, a seamstress who walked through the silence, are ready to step into the dawn of tomorrow. Thank you for joining me on this final walk through Richmond streets, dear listener, and for sharing in the quiet beauty of a city reborn. This tale has wrapped you in the warmth of the past. Please subscribe to our channel for more bedtime stories to carry you into dreams. May your sleep be as peaceful as the streets you've wandered, and may you dream of hope and new beginnings.